Hey dude, what's up? Welcome to the 2021 Music Licensing Challenge, where you're going to learn exactly how to start earning hundreds of dollars a month through music licensing. In this 5-day challenge, you are going to see exactly how to create a piece of stock music. You're going to learn about music licensing. You're going to learn the best libraries for beginners. We're going to answer a lot of questions along the way. You're going to see a song created from scratch all the way up to being uploaded. We're going to do this just a little bit at a time, bite-sized pieces each day, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a video. And also there's a link down below to join the challenge. If you click on that link, you'll be getting daily email updates that are going to have all sorts of extra bonus information. And you'll also be able to download a couple of really helpful things, including a keyword guide that's going to help you craft the sort of keywords that help people find your music so you can actually sell it. Let's watch the intro real quick. Okay, so what are we going to cover in this video? First, I'm just going to kind of introduce the challenge. Second, I'm going to talk about what is music licensing. Third, we're going to talk about what types of music are appropriate for music licensing. Then we'll talk about the best sites for music licensing. And finally, fifth, we'll talk about some of the most frequently asked questions I get about music licensing. So let's start with just sort of what this challenge is. Basically, what I want to do is challenge you to get off your butt and try to write, record, and upload a new track in a week. Because one of the most important things about music licensing is to be able to write music at a reasonable pace and upload it. In some respects, it's a numbers game, and so the more music you can produce, the more likely you are to have success. I want you to get out of the mindset of having a hard drive full of demos and actually finishing songs and releasing them, uploading them, and licensing them. So that's part of this track. Is over 5 days, can you write, record, and upload a track? Even if you have a track that's half finished, can you finish that track in this week and get it uploaded? It's a lot, but you can do it. And as you'll see over the course of these videos, I am able to do it as well. Another thing is, even if it's not the beginning of 2021, this challenge still applies. It's just, I think a new year is an inspiring time to do this. But if you're watching this at a later date, still commit to these 5 days of bettering yourself. What you're going to learn over these 5 days are the fundamentals of music licensing, from song composition and arrangement, to instrument selection, mixing, mastering, all the way through uploading, adding keywords, all of that. You're also going to learn how to work efficiently, which is a big part of music licensing. As I mentioned, music licensing is a bit of a numbers game. So the quicker you can make a track, or the better you can make your track sooner, the more likely you are to make more music and to get more licensing opportunities. There are going to be plenty of step-by-step instructions. You're literally going to see me create a song from scratch. We'll listen to the final version of it in a minute, by the way. And so, there's no hiding the sausage here. This is exactly how you can make a song that sells and, can be placed in TV, movies, video games, wherever. A little bit about me. I'm Evan. I have made probably $15,000 licensing music as a side hustle over the past 3 or 4 years. I've gotten my music in movies, TV, on a Netflix documentary. It's been played on NPR. It's been really rewarding. My music has been heard by hundreds of thousands of people at this point, and I want to share with you how I do it. Again, click on the link down below or visit http://bit.ly/licensing challenge to join the challenge for free. You'll get that keyword guide, you'll get some other great stuff, and a lot of more in-depth tips, plus you'll be sure not to miss a single day. So, what is music licensing? Essentially what it is you are the song owner when you write a song and record it. And if somebody wants to use that song for a YouTube video, for a movie, for a video game, you have the right to say no. When you license the music, you are licensing them the opportunity to synchronize your music with their other media, whether that's a podcast or a presentation or a radio show. And so in exchange for allowing them the right to use your music, you get paid. And the great thing about this is most of these licenses you can sell over and over again. You're not selling, once you sell somebody, the right to use a song in this YouTube video, it doesn't mean you can't turn around and sell this guy the right to use the music in his YouTube video and her the right to use it in her podcast and that corporation to use it for their corporate inspirational videos and, that filmmaker the right to use it in his or her movie. So it is really lucrative because one song can lead to a lot of sales. My best-selling songs have earned me, probably close to, my best-selling songs probably earned me over $2,000. A lot of songs also never get sold or never get licensed, so they take years to license. So that's why it's a numbers game. But if you hit on a winning song, it will sell over and over again. The vast majority of these sales come through libraries. Basically, they serve as middlemen. They sell your music for you. They handle the contracts, the payment processing, all of the rights, taxes, everything like that, and you get your share. So all you have to do is focus on making the music and uploading it to the website. The website focuses on selling it. There is a world where musicians can also try pitching their music directly to music supervisors. This video is not going to cover that, the business side of that, but the principles of making music that we talk about over the course of this 5-day challenge will absolutely apply. So one thing to think about when you apply to libraries, and we'll get into this more over the course of the next few days, is whether you should put your music in exclusive libraries or non-exclusive libraries. In a nutshell, a non-exclusive library basically means that if you put your music in that library, you can also put it in another non-exclusive library and another non-exclusive library. You retain control. Generally, non-exclusive libraries are less selective in the types of music they allow in, and they also generally tend to charge less to purchase a license, and their clients tend to be less prestigious. Nonetheless, I think it's a very good place for beginners to start, and it's where I recommend most beginners to start, because if you can't be successful in a non-exclusive library, you'll have more trouble, and maybe it will be impossible to make it into an exclusive library. An exclusive library, in contrast, will usually pay you a fee up front for the right to exclusively represent your song and sell it. They often have more prestigious clients. They might work directly with TV studios and things like that, as opposed to non-exclusive libraries where independent producers might be the more likely audience. But that said, exclusive libraries can be very difficult to get into. You may never hear a response, and it can be very demoralizing to approach them if you don't have a strong basis in non-exclusive libraries, which is why that's what I'm going to recommend to people viewing this challenge. So how do you get paid with music licensing? Well, first of all, as I mentioned, you have the right to prevent people from using your music in their productions. And so if they want to do that, they have to pay you a fee up front. That is called a sync fee, basically a fee to synchronize your music with their media. And then you can also get paid broadcast royalties or public performance royalties if your music is not just used by somebody, but basically then shared with the world. You are also entitled to broadcast royalties, which basically mean, if your music is on a TV show, that TV station has to pay you based on how many times it's played and how wide the audience is. And this can add up to significant money as well. So, what type of music works for music licensing? Really and truly, any genre you enjoy making. The most important thing is that you enjoy making it, because you never know if the song is going to sell, so you better at least enjoy the process. Second, it should be a genre that you do well, but anything from Celtic death metal to EDM polka, there's probably somebody somewhere that needs it. I'm going to let you listen to a snippet of the song that we end up making over the course of the next 5 days, so you can hear an example of what's most commonly thought of as stock music, which is known as corporate music. And this is a very popular brand of stock music. I rarely make it, but you'll see exactly how to make it because it's the most popular, successful genre. But what I want to tell you is you don't have to make corporate music. I almost never make corporate music and still make hundreds of dollars a month. So heard the song, let me talk about a few things that are important for stock music. The genre doesn't matter, but it does matter that you tailor it in certain ways to be more appropriate for music licensing as opposed to purely for listening purposes. First, you're going to want to make your arrangements a little simpler than you would normally. The songs aren't necessarily intended to be interesting in the same way that a song would be interesting that you would just sit down and listen to. Instead, they're really intended to help the other media form tell its story. So you don't want to overwhelm what would be going on the screen or on a podcast voiceover. So think a little more simple and more about conveying a mood or a vibe as opposed to being the sole focus of attention. Second, you need to have clear parts. Your verse needs to sound different from your chorus, and the second time your verse plays, it needs to sound different from the first verse, etc. We'll see all of this in the next few videos. You also need to have strong transitions between these parts, so there's really this sense of forward motion, that the music is moving and that it is telling a story or helping the other people tell their stories. And when it comes to both arrangement and mixing and the complexity of your melody and your instrument choices, you need to create a space to have so that a voiceover could be placed on your music and it wouldn't be distracting, like that the music wouldn't distract from the voice that goes on top of it. So that's going to be something you kind of have to think about and bake into how you write your song. Again, though, you'll see all of this in action over the next few days. So be sure to click on that link down below to subscribe to the challenge and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So what are the best sites for music licensing? I think if you're a beginner, Pond5 is the one site to join. Stop wasting your time researching all the bajillion sites out there. Join Pond5, start uploading, and spend that time that you would have spent trying to research everything and just make more music and put it up on Pond5. It's got a good combination of a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers. It's non-exclusive and non-perpetual, meaning you can take your music down at any time once you feel like you've outgrown it, if you do. Or if you find a bunch of other websites that are good for your music, add it over there too, because it's non-exclusive. It's the place you want to go to learn the business, because you'll see what sells. If, one style doesn't sell and another style does, maybe you're on to something. Another thing about Pond5 that I like is that they have reasonable standards for quality and what they're willing to accept. They accept all genres, in my experience, and if your song is of a reasonable quality, they will accept it. Other sites can be much more discerning either about the type of genre they want or the type of quality or whatever it is. So Pond5 is a good place that you can just kind of throw everything against the wall and see what sticks and then grow from there. If you're more advanced, if you've been licensing music for a while, then you can consider exclusive libraries. You need to make sure that your music is of the highest quality and caliber and also well arranged for licensing using some of those things we talked about previously. Once you have a batch of 4 to 5 to 7 of these songs, basically an EP's worth, same genre, all, then you can search for libraries that have had, just Google like music library hip hop and see what comes up. Look at, what their placements are, if it looks like they've worked with big time players, and look to see if they're accepting submissions, and look to see if they have high quality music in your genre. If you think your music is better than what they've got in their library, then by all means submit your songs to them. If you hear back, great. If not, wait a week and follow up. And if you don't hear anything from there, move on to another library and another library. So that's kind of the two different ways of approaching it from a business perspective. But the thrust of this is going to be for beginner to intermediate producers, and Pond5 is where you should be spending your energy. So I've gotten a lot of questions when I announced this challenge via email and people reaching out to me. These are the questions that I've received so far. So let me answer them. Is there an ideal song length? Yes. You want your song to be at least 2 minutes long for stock music. 3 is good, 4 is good. It doesn't need to be longer than that for most genres, unless it's like a meditation ambient type track. and maybe you're looking for more like 6 to 8 minutes for that. Also, though, and we get into this over the course of the videos, there are also certain specified edit lengths that you might want to also try and hit. How do you pitch a song? Well, like I said, if you're working with a library like Pond5, they handle all of the pitching, they find the clients, they do the advertising. So you don't have to pitch. If you are really interested in pitching directly to music supervisors, I would recommend Googling how to do that. There's some other people out there that teach that style of music licensing. It's not for me. I'd rather spend more time making music and less time pitching. Do you need to have vocals on your songs? No. Most stock music is instrumental. So if you don't have a vocalist, you're fine. If you do have vocals, great. If you can sing really professionally and record it professionally, then good. You're also good to go. But it doesn't really matter. Sit down and watch TV and listen to all the music that's going on. Most of it doesn't have vocals. What about music licensing as a side hustle versus a career? I think plenty of people do it successfully as a career. I do it as a side hustle. I work, 5 hours a week on it, maybe 5 to 10, depending on the week, and make a couple $100s a month. Some months much more than that. Some months a little less. There's a bit of a golden handcuffs, uncanny valley situation where if you could work 40 hours a week at producing music and uploading it, you could probably create music licensing into a sustainable career. But if you have to work and then are making music on the side, it can kind of be hard to get that big enough portfolio. So I recommend that most people approach it as a side hustle and build up your portfolio over time, grow those opportunities to earn. But if you have the free time, why not jump in? How do you get better at production? This is, I think, a lot of people struggle with mixing or mastering or even instrument choice when they're arranging. I think one thing that you can do is certainly, learn everything you can about mixing and mastering. There are a lot of videos out there on YouTube. Another thing you can do is just make more music, because the more music you make, the better you get at it. Third, you can have, hire somebody to do song reviews for you, or someone to coach you, and your mixes. There are people out there that do it. I do it, but don't have to just trust me. There are a lot of people out there that give professional advice on productions. I think that's probably the fastest way to get better. To have an expert just tell you oh, turn this up, turn that down. This is too trebly. Your choice for snare drum's wrong. Add more reverb. But practice is probably the biggest thing. How many songs should you have? Well, I think part of the thrust of this challenge is to get you producing at a pace that would be good to launch a side hustle career at. I think if you can do one song a week, you're going to build something up over the course of a year or two that will pay dividends for a long time. Even if you're producing at a slower pace, I think you'll still start to see sales once you get, 15 to 20 songs uploaded. You'll probably get, a sale a month or two. But it certainly scales the more music you have uploaded. Not only does it scale, though, you get faster at producing and you get better at producing. So the more songs you have, the better. You can never have too many songs. Quality over quantity, I'd say it's a pretty tough match. Quantity is very important with this too. How do you build confidence? Again, I think getting music up onto Pond5, first getting it accepted is a first way to build confidence. Second, when you get your first sale, that's confidence boosting. Somebody actually wanted to not only pay you for your music, but they wanted to broadcast it to other people. That's cool. And so that's why you produce more music, and it sort of is a virtuous cycle. Coaching can also really help with this because, your coach can help you improve and tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. How do you promote your music? Well, if you're working through a library, I really don't think there's much you can or should do to promote your music. I've tried things like, building web pages that point to my music on Pond5, or, tweeting about it, or making YouTube videos promoting it. And as far as I can tell, that really didn't move the needle very much. Certainly not based on the amount of time that I had to spend. It's probably just better to let Pond5 handle all the promotion, or other libraries. How many libraries should you work with? At the beginning, I'd say just one, just Pond 5. Your focus should be on improving as a musician, on building a catalog, a portfolio of music, and of learning the business. You shouldn't be trying to pitch one song to 5 libraries. You should be trying to pitch 5 songs to one library. Over time, though, I think it's a good idea to have, 3 or 4 stock libraries that you work with, and then start setting aside songs and, working with 1 or 2 exclusive libraries that you trust and develop a relationship with them as well. What's the difference between being an artist and making stock music? It's a hard thing to do, to take off your artist hat where you're the star and put on the stock music hat where you're trying to make music to support somebody else's vision. And a lot of that, it takes time. It takes, intention to start producing music from the perspective of like, hey, I'm going to make this, tell a story that, support a story versus telling my own story. And finally, how do you deal with rejection? I've had a lot of songs rejected from a lot of libraries. And basically, I gave up on music licensing for a while, and then I gave up on exclusive libraries for a while. I've gotten back with both. And I think the way you do it is you just keep moving. You build on your successes. You don't let your rejection stop you down, slow you down. Constantly make new music, invest in your skills, in your knowledge, in your toolkit, whether it's synths or whatever, and get better and resubmit new music. Working with a coach, again, can be really helpful for that. If you've got any other questions, leave them below and I will be sure to respond. I want to help you get through this challenge, get your first song up there and available for sale. If you already are making music, I still want to encourage you to finish a song in a week. I think that's a very important practice. Don't forget to sign up for the challenge below by clicking the link or visiting bit.ly.com/licensing challenge. So you can get those free downloads, and also you'll have all these extra information via the email and accountability. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.